Alright guys, welcome to another RiMS racing video. Today I'm going to be talking about the Honda for the most part. So kind of, my setup for this bike and why I have, why I've made certain changes. With this bike actually I've only really made one change, and that's to the front suspension as far as setup goes. But as far as modifications, I have fully spec'd this bike out. It is 100% a 2019 World Superbike spec motorcycle. Apart from electronics, that'll be a little bit different, but in terms of the bike parts and everything, it is built to that spec. So it is very, very, very fast, very fun to ride, very aggressive, and this bike is actually, I think, the most engaging bike to ride of all the other bikes. That's really why I like this bike so much. It's so much fun and so engaging. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a quick out lap here, and then one fast flying lap, and during the out lap I'll just explain to you some of the things in terms of how I ride the bike, and maybe some of the lines I take perhaps, or some of the motorcycle's properties. And then we're going to go into the setup, and I'll explain why I've made certain setup changes and stuff like that. So because I remember someone did some time ago make a video, didn't make a video, what the hell am I saying? They made a post in one of my videos requesting information on bike setup and stuff like that. So I will be in this video explaining how to set up a motorcycle, how I've set up this bike in particular, and then I think in subsequent videos over time I'll explain more about that kind of stuff. Okay, let's go. Now that I've learned this motorcycle, you guys have watched me learn, months ago. Got the hang of this. Hopefully you could see how you could see the mistakes I was making. Okay, I'm gonna record my voice over this because apparently, for some reason, these glitches again, you cannot hear me as I'm speaking here. So anyways, okay, so this out lap, what I'm going to be doing is trying to generate heat in the tires. So I'm going to try and maximize the lean angles and just stress the tire a little bit here so that my flying lap can be okay, predictable, right? So with this bike, you've got to rev it all the way out, hear it scream. You see there, the tire tries to kick you out. So you've got to manage that. That's what you've got to manage with this kind of setup. The bike in general likes to do that, but with my setup especially, it likes to do that a lot. And that's just how I like it, because it allows you to really ride aggressively and take advantage fully of this thing's its properties. Okay, second here. Well, now this coming section you shift into third here, and you've got to maintain this third gear in an even throttle. Because it's deceptive. You think, oh, I've got lots of grip. As soon as you add a bit more throttle, whoop, high sides you. It'll high side you all the time. Okay, so take it easy here. And by the way, look, when trying to be quick, you got to take it easy, man. You just got to focus. I guess if you're not too sure about how bikes handle and all that, just try and maintain a good line. Let's say if you're eager to get on the throttle all the time, you'll be pushing yourself wide and you'll be messing up your lines and stuff like that. Okay, let's start the flying lap now. Slide out. Let's go. Up. Okay. Right, easy. Down. Now we're gonna short shift into second here and have to ride around this guy. Okay, so right. Ooh, see? It's trying to kick you off. See the slide? see that I allowed the rear to lift so I can place myself here nicely. And I slid into this corner here, maintain third. Push, push, push. Quick change. Mild slide. There we go. Ooh, really? Okay, let's use all the circuit here. All the track. All the track. Let's go. Ooh, just. Okay, that was a... I'm trying to see my time. Oh, you cannot see a time. Ah. Right. Okay, so I've lost focus. I'm trying to see my time. I cannot see my time. Yeah, okay, whatever. So let's bring this lap to an end. I think it was decent. And yeah, I mean, shit. So I think that's all there is. That's all there is to this clip. 2 minutes on the dot. I think that's decent. Okay, so here we are in the bike setup menu, and I'm just gonna explain the changes I've made to this bike and the reason why I've done that. Okay, with this bike I've really only made 2 changes. So the first major change is the front spring hardness, and then the second change, which is minor, well, somewhat, is the rear tire pressure. Let's go here. The reason why I reduced the spring hardness by 1 is because I wanted to soften the suspension to increase rear grip, front grip. Okay, in doing so you will adjust the geometry of the bike, which will allow for a tighter racing line, because the bike will now it'll tend to face forward, to lean forward. This means less wheelie, but also less rear grip. Less rear grip in this case allows for more oversteer. Oversteer is pretty much how easily the bike turns. With an aggressive bike like this, that means you will tend to, if you don't know how to control the bike, you'll tend to experience high sides, or what's that other word, like it could also snake. It could also snake during corners, especially when there isn't that much grip. You'll see the bike will start snaking. By that I mean it'll start like swerving side to side because you don't have as much grip. Okay, these are the things that cause high sides in general. But I want it like that. I want a motorcycle that is agile, that is easy to control. This is a very aggressive bike compared to the BMW. The BMW, for example, is so easy. But the funny thing is, on that bike I've made a lot of setup changes. Okay, so let's see, spring hardness, reduce that to increase front end grip because you have more weight in the front, but you also decrease rear end grip. Also, because the bike is now leaning forward for the most part, when you brake, the rear wheel will tend to lift off the ground. With the Honda, that tends to be a problem because when the wheel comes back down, it can kick out a bit, causing stability issues, or if there's a difference enough in wheel speed and ground speed, it'll throw you off the bike. If the wheel is spinning too quick, when it lands, it'll throw you off. If it's not spinning quickly enough, when it lands, you can have some instability, and it might swerve or snake a bit. But if you know how to control the bike, if you understand motorcycles, these are behaviors that you want. Well, the ease with which the rear will lift, and the oversteer, the tendency for oversteer. These are behaviors that I want, and that's why I've reduced as well the rear grip by increasing the rear tire pressure. When you increase tire pressure, you will have less grip. Also a reduced messing up my words here. Also a reduced rolling resistance because you don't have as much grip. But in this case, what this will do, if you pay attention to how I ride the bike, it allows me to slide around, especially as as the laps go on, then the tire wears out more. Okay, now here I pretty much have no electronic assists. Everything is off. Even though you see EB4, that pretty much means I want engine assisted, how do I say, if with EB off, this means you have max engine braking. Okay, Okay, max engine braking means that the engine isn't going to be assisting you. It's not going to be injecting fuel to help reduce the negative torque that results from engine braking. In other words, the bike will roll a bit. You have a higher speed when off throttle in a straight line, because the engine is kind of it's still running in a way to help propel the bike forward a little bit. But setting this all the way to 4 means the engine is not going to be doing that. No fuel injection while you're off throttle. So not only do you save fuel, but you'll have maximum braking force. But this maximum braking force, as I said, gives you a negative torque that can have a pulling effect. So when you are in a corner and you are like you go from on throttle to off throttle, the tendency will be for the rear to step out, and usually that causes a high side. Even if you're not even if you go from, let's say, 80% throttle to like 50, you can have a similar effect. So you just have to be careful and manage that. But of course, no maximum engine braking means you're able to stop more easily. But as I said, with this bike and with my setup, the rear lifting off the ground, when the wheel comes back down, it tends to kick people off. So you just have to be careful with that. You've got to manage that. Okay, so that's it. I've not changed anything else. Everything else is stock in terms of setup. But as I said, in terms of bike upgrades, yes, it is fully upgraded. Yeah, so I think perhaps in another video, because I don't want this to be too long, in another video I'll talk more about these settings, like the rebound and the compression and the preload, what they do and why you would want to change them or why not. So in this case, all I changed was the front spring hardness because I wanted more front end grip. I wanted a tighter racing line because, you know, you have the bike leaning forward. That change in geometry will give you a tighter racing line, allow you to turn the bike more easily because you don't have a rear bias in terms of weight and stuff like that. Okay, so I think that's it. I don't feel I need to go into these other setup options for now. Perhaps I'll touch on these more in the next video that I'll be making sometime. I don't know when, on the BMW, and why I've changed what I've changed on the BMW. Okay, oh, another thing, tires. Yes, tires. I've got the Diablo Superbike SC2 for the front and the SC3 for the rear. So that pretty much is this is a medium front compound and a hard rear compound. The reason I've done that is because, again, I want to lean towards oversteer. Pretty much I'm just saying I want the bike to be able to turn more easily. So again, if you're not so experienced with bikes, or if you don't understand how things work and why you do certain things, most people, if you choose this kind of a setup, you'll experience a lot of high sides, especially if you have things set up the way I have with no electronics assists, because the bike will tend to want to just turn. So that means the rear will tend to step out because you have more front end grip and less rear end grip, because this is a softer front compound. Okay, so you have more grip in the front, less grip in the rear. The bike will want to slide more, and that's how I like things. I love the bikes being able to slide, especially this one, because it needs to be ridden aggressively to be quick, and I love riding these things aggressively. It's just so much more fun. So anyways, yes, if you choose if I were to go SC3 for the front and SC3 for the rear, you would have a balanced front and rear, so the bike is not going to want to tend to turn in. Not like I like to be able to slide it out of corners, coming out of corners. If you pay attention to how I ride, you'll see that's what I do a lot. And so in general, yes, I don't like choosing soft compounds. It's the same reason why I have max fuel. I have max fuel because I just like I like the feeling of weight. I don't believe in reducing all the fuel and choosing the softest compound to try and set the fastest lap time. Nah, I'm quick because I like to have fun. And of course, if I wanted, I could break all the records by reducing the fuel load and choosing the softest compound. But why? That to me is not fun. If you have to do that to be quick, okay, cool, because it's time trial. But I don't have to do that, so I don't even bother. I like just being able to spend as much time as possible riding around and around and around, enjoying. Okay, so I think that's it. That's all that needs to be said here. And yeah, okay, cheers.